Major League Baseball season. Back-to-back defending champion LA Dodgers. What is the season going to give us here? And so joining us, who knows a thing or two, being in the World Series in the big bright lights, playing for the Kansas City Royals and the Cincinnati Reds, former MLB pitcher Brandon Finnegan joins us here on the program. I want to start off with this, Brandon, because you've been used to this. So next month, pitchers, catchers report. It's the best time of year. Take me back into that experience when you just circle up the date like every baseball player does when you start out the season. How good does that got to feel of like, it's a new season, it's a fresh new start, new me, we're ready to play. What's that kind of feeling like when you get pitchers and catchers report?
Oh man, it's like the first day of school feeling, back when you were a kid. You got your shoes and your outfit all lined up, ready for the first day of school. That's the only way I can explain it. Something I enjoyed every year was getting to leave to go to spring training and get ready for another season, and get to play a sport that you dream about playing. And it was just, I miss it, of course, obviously. And the golf in Arizona was pretty impeccable, so it was great.
Oh, there you go. Yep, the Cactus Leagues, man. I mean, it's perfect weather, springtime.
Oh
I
yeah.
love every bit of it. I will tell you, though, because, lots of shifting moves in Major League Baseball. So I want to start with this because – so here's my big takeaway. I've had baseball in my blood for a very long time. Been around a baseball family, and we've loved it. We've watched it ever since. Every World Series, every game. So my big thing is so everyone is asking how in the world the Dodgers continue to get away with a lot of this payroll and contract talk. And a lot of people are like, throw in a salary cap. This is outrageous. Why is it they're stacking and loading? I'm like, whoa, time out. First of all, when I looked at that contract and I broke through everything, I'm like, half the league could have thrown out this contract to Kyle Tucker. And it just so happened he chose the stable organization,
Yep.
more motivated for championships. And
Yep.
so here's my thought, and something to break down as well, too, for all of our audiences. When you look at this, my big deal is, if you instill a salary cap, and I live here in Denver, Colorado, and we all know what the Montforts in Colorado are all about. But my big thing is they figured out how to manipulate the deferred comp deal. I literally just asked this from another former Major League player, Logan Morrison. And my big thing is anybody could have done this deal, but if you're putting in a salary cap and you're harping about that, my big fear is you're going to benefit more of the owners because they're not even going to want to spend that money. And it's like, it's going to be closed book.
Yep.
When you look at this in your perspective and in your opinion, how can people kind of come around to the idea, especially with all the other 29 clubs that could have easily made this deal so we don't have the feeding outrage that every MLB fan is kind of going through because the Dodgers were able to do this?
Yeah, I mean, dude, you're right. Like when you think about it, I get people getting upset that the Dodgers are just absolutely stacking the house with all these just studs. But like you said, 29 other teams had a chance to do this, and them refusing to do it, that's on them, right? And the whole salary cap thing, I think they've gone too far down this road without a salary cap to where like there's just no coming back. I know the CBA is up at the end of the season, but I just don't see, Ken Rosenthal thinks there's going to be like a 98% chance of a lockout or something like that. I just don't see the owners getting what they want, and that's the salary cap. That's the getting rid of the deferred money. Um, yeah, you can't get mad at the Dodgers. They figured out something that they can do, and it works. And there's a reason that they contend every season. It's not just the fact that they have the money; it's the fact that they something within the organization is working with every single stud that they pick up, and not studs, right? Like, I mean, they develop players like crazy. It's not just like them signing people. I mean, they had Corey Seager, they had Jock, they had all these studs back in the like when I was playing that, you know, were unbelievable. There's a reason they've been so good for so long. So fans can say what they want to say. Teams can cry all they want. At the end of the day, it's on the owners. If they could have gone, like you said, they could have gone, get off their wallets and done this deal in 2 seconds, just like the Dodgers did. But they're stingy with their money. Players want to be paid, owners don't want to pay them. I mean, that's just what it comes down to. So you can't get mad at a team that wants a player and finds a deal that works for both of them.
Well, what's funny is it makes me laugh because they focus so heavily because the Dodgers are back-to-back World Series champions that they forget. Did anybody pay attention to see what Toronto threw at him? 350 million? Like
Yeah.
they could have made that. But
Oh,
but at the end of the day, it's ultimately the player's choice itself. They got the agent. They look at all the options on the cards, and they're like, no, I'm going to choose this one. It wasn't particularly just because of the money. It was more of they feel more motivated. And everywhere else I look around in the league, I'm like, and this was more pertaining to Washington, Pittsburgh, a lot of these other organizations that could be able to be on the same plateau if they were able to figure this out. But here's what's interesting. And before the Dodgers won back-to-back World Series, in 20 years, isn't it crazy that we only had 6 teams in 20 years that were number 1 in Major League Baseball, like for the longest time? And the rest of them were like top 15,
yeah.
top 20 in ranks.
It's
And so I'm
wild.
like, yeah. And what's funny is you were actually kind of a part of that team with Kansas City in 2014. They were like, people didn't really see a whole lot of the team, but with trust, with grit, and in momentum. I mean, you guys, you went into a wild card with the greatest swing from Salvador Perez to then go into the World Series. Like, please take me back to that because
Dude,
it's like I think people forget, like that can happen with any team when you're in the postseason. So, what was
100%.
that like?
100%. Like you said, I mean, it could happen with any team, just like it happened with Tampa Bay back in 2020. Don't get me wrong; they had a bunch of good players, but none of them were getting paid the money that they're obviously getting paid today. Just like in 2014 and 15 with the Royals. People always said that like we didn't have that many good players, but if you think about it, at some point in their career, we had an all-star at every single position. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and we just had an absolutely insane bullpen and a good starting staff as well. I mean, back then James Shields was great. Vargas was great. Jeremy Guthrie was great. So like we had we actually had a stud full, like a team just full of studs. They all loved each other. And at the end of the day, like, you know, you can spend all the money in the world on all these players, but
Mm-hmm.
if they're not clicking in the clubhouse, then they're not going to go out there and play that well. There's something about a good clubhouse that can change everything,
Yeah.
regardless of the money that's in there, regardless of the caliber of players that are in there. I mean, at that point, we didn't have a ton of all stars on the team. I think it was just Salvi and uh, Gordo at the time, but you just have all these guys that are just good people that love playing the game and love being around each other, and that just completely changes everything. I mean, that 2014 run was the most fun I ever had in baseball, obviously, but um, I didn't come up with anybody. There wasn't a group of guys that I came up with. That whole team was like they came up through the minor league system together and played in the big leagues together. And essentially that was the team I came up with. So that's why I was so I guess called butthurt when I got traded, because those are the guys that I felt like were my brothers, going through, and I was only spent like 4 months with them, obviously, but um being around a group of guys like that knows how to win, loves being in the clubhouse together, loves competing together. It's just so hard to honestly, you know, recreate, especially when you're going to a team that, you know, wasn't winning, hadn't won in a while, and just, grinding out tough games and losing. It's just a completely different atmosphere. And um, not to, I mean, I had a blast in Cincinnati, don't get me wrong, but just going from the World Series, obviously, to, losing 100 games a season or close to it, it was just a tough, turnaround.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I will tell you, like as a baseball fanatic myself, like if people ask me, what was your favorite World Series, Jake? I said that 2014 World Series was the best I ever watched, because
Dude.
the thing what people don't realize is every time when you're in a gritty game, and much like we talk about with the Super Bowl in the NFL, my biggest takeaway is what I love is they were not fixated on home runs because they had the guys to do it, but that was not their plan. Their plan was get on base any way you could, whether it was a walk, whether it was a little base knock, and pitching. You guys' relief roles was immaculate. I mean,
It was,
from
dude, it was
Kelvin
wild,
Herrera and Wade Davis, and then
dude.
all the way to Greg Holland. I was like, these guys know how to play it because they're pitching inside, outside. They're forcing you to now have to hit off of me in order to score a run. And that was where I
Exactly.
was like, that was baseball.
Exactly. Like there were no free bases. That was one thing. They called it the three-headed monster, but like when you saw Kelvin warming up, you knew that you were in for it, because guess what was coming after that? Wade Davis, and then
Yep.
another guy named Greg Holland. All three all-stars, all three could run it up to 100. I mean, Wade Davis's cutter was like, I think the cutter he threw in the World Series that we won in 15 was 95 to end the game. He had an
Yeah.
86-mile-an-hour curveball. Then he had Greg Holland before he got hurt. I mean, all these studs. Just the and just a good group of guys. I can't say enough good things about those people. And but it was just so fun. You're right. Like we weren't built off of homers. We were built off of grind out of bats, get on base any way you can. And then guess what? We got Lorenzo Cain, Gerard Dyson, Terrence Gore, and Alex Gore. And you got all these guys that can actually, like, Alcides Escobar. I mean, these dudes can just flat out run to where, like, okay, I mean, that's how we kind of started our comeback in that wild card game, right? Like, you got, like, obviously the Hall of Famer John Lester on the mound, and he had trouble picking off. So like once we got one of our speed guys on, you knew you were in trouble, right? Because you had to do a different type of holding the runner on, and then all of a sudden, like, we're in scoring position, then a little single knocks in a run, and guess what? It goes from 7-2 to 7-7 in a span of, I think, 1 or 2 innings, and it's just it was wild, man. It was it was just a blast, and I wish I could go back and relive that, but it was a blast.
There's a couple questions here around the corner. So my big thing is, I look at Kansas City now, and I mean, they finished up third in the AL Central. And, I love Bobby Witt Jr., absolutely love the build of what they have, but I feel like they could use a little more. Usually, a lot of teams because it's interesting because, the Centrals, both the AL and the NL, it's like, I don't know what team I'm going to get that's going to surprise me,
Exactly.
And so when I look at the Royals, there's a lot of things that are kind of going on. We're talking about what's going to happen with the state of the Royals because now we got the Chiefs going to Kansas City, Kansas. And I mean, look, I love Kauffman Stadium. I think it's a beautiful, beautiful ballpark. But
Oh
it's like
yeah.
I look at the Royals and it's like they always are gritty. They, even if they're middle of the pack, but I could see they could make a case to where they can make the wild card spot
Oh,
if
for
in
sure.
fact a couple months of momentum that gets them up there. When you're previewing this team, what are some of the things you looked out for them that could get them in this position to get into the wild card? Because I think they have the right guys, and I feel like they could add a little bit more, whether it's going into the trade deadline, maybe adding in an extra bat or maybe a pitcher at some point to really get them the extra step.
Man, it's actually crazy. While you're sitting there asking me this, I was thinking about how similar these two teams, like this team, is compared to like our 2014, 2015 team.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously Salvi's still behind the dish. You got Bobby Witt at short, who you could put an argument up that he's one of the like he's the best player in MLB all around, and just a phenomenal dude. And then you got Vinny, who's coming into his own at first. You got the third baseman who they just signed to a deal. Like, they got studs on their team, and a lot of those kids, a lot of those guys came through their own system, and that's kind of unheard of nowadays, especially with all the money that's just getting thrown around between these teams. I think that they need, obviously, I think they need one big bat, and then a few. I wouldn't say a few, a couple arms. They are not far off from being winning their division and making a run in the playoffs. Because that team is when we were up there a couple years ago for the 10-year reunion, I got to watch them play, and man, they are a gritty team, and it reminded me a lot of the 2024 team. It's just a bunch of guys that like to go out there and play together, and at the end of the day, that's what you need the most. Because they're going to give you all they got 24/7, and that's what you want. Like that's going to be talent regardless, And I love those guys. I love the Royals. I had a blast when I played there. I just think that, and they're a lot like the Reds too. They got so much talent on this team. They're just missing something, right? That's like one or two key factors in the team that could really turn them into a juggernaut. And I think I think they need a stick and then one or two arms that could just really put them over that threshold, and they'll take off.
Yeah, I agree. And usually they're always like the surprise teams that I know that can make the jump to really shake it up. Because I mean, I'm seeing the build of Detroit. I'm seeing, Cleveland, do what they do.
Oh
Because
yeah,
it's like sometimes it's like they're so wonky in the first couple months,
yeah,
and then all of a sudden the pitching gets better, the hitting gets better.
yeah.
So
You're like,
it's
what
like
happened?
right. So I love what 2026 has in store, because not only are we getting a Super Bowl 49 rematch of the Patriots Seahawks, but we got the World Cup around the corner.
Oh
And then
yeah,
what's also fun, the World Baseball Classic. I love watching, because again, even with the Olympics, my big thing is like baseball, we find talents globally. And
hmm
I think when you look at, the NBA, I mean, they're having an entire international cesspool of like Nikola Jokic and Giannis and, Victor Wembanyama. The basketball has hit the entire turnaround international. But then when I look at baseball, it's so classic because it's a historical sport
oh
that
yeah,
you get a lot of these players from international countries, Puerto Rico, Dominican, even in Japan. For the United States team, I mean, to me, I loved watching it when we won the gold medal in 2017. We were a
hmm
stacked, loaded roster, and we were just like, we're going to fight anybody.
yep.
But now, after watching what happened in the last bout, where Shohei Ohtani's unbelievable, this year's going to be kind of different, because I kind of feel Mexico might be a little bit more pain in the necks for some teams going into the tournament. But I mean, I'm getting Dominican, where Albert Pujols and the rest of them, they're
Oh
going to be
yeah,
coaching up and managing. But for our United States men's team, this is going to be one where I feel we got a lot of really good studs and stars, but it's ultimately going to be fighting in those crucial trench spots where they really have to be smart up on pitching locations and spots
oh yeah.
and getting up and on base. How do you see this World Baseball Classic really kind of coming around? Because I have a good feeling our boys are going to do very well this year.
I think they're gonna kill it. Obviously losing to Japan and Shohei Ohtani. Um, that's tough, right? I mean, he's the best player in baseball. People make an argument he'll be the best player ever. Especially Trout being the last out. I just think there's going to be such a chip on their shoulder. They got some stuff. Paul Skeens, he's unbelievable. The guy, I mean, he makes baseball look like a joke. Schwarber, he's been killing it again. He always hits bombs, but he just I think he had a career year average wise. And that dude, I love that guy. I got to play with him on Team USA in college. He's just a clown. They got so many good players. That's the thing. All these other, and I'm not saying to knock the last team, but all these other countries, they put the best of the best out there. Their best players that they have are going to play.
Yep.
We didn't have all of our best arms the last time we played. Like Degrom was, I think Degrom's one of the best pitchers in baseball always when he's healthy. He didn't play. Scherzer didn't play last time either. And I mean, yeah, you can say age, whatever. When that dude gets on the mound, there's something different about the game. I just think they're going to go out there with everything that they got, every big bat, every big arm, every just speed master that they got, and they're just going to take it to every single team. Don't get me wrong, they're going to hit their speed bumps because all these other countries obviously have gotten a lot better as well. But they're not going to, I don't think they're going to take anything for granted, regardless of who they play. That's the thing. You lose something like this. My only way to be able to explain what they're probably feeling is like the 2014-15 Royals lost in Game 7 to the Giants. They came back to next spring training with the biggest chip on their shoulder, and they went out and they just ran through everyone. Um, and then win the World Series. That's the only way I can explain something like this. That's what these guys have to have on their shoulder. They have to have this big chip that they know that what happened last time. They can't go out there and take any game for granted because they can turn around and get spanked. I mean, it's baseball. It's not about who the best player is. It's always who plays the best, and that's just how it is. You can go out there any given time, strike out 4 times, or go out the next game, hit 4 homers. Baseball's a mean sport, so I don't think they're going to take any of this for granted. I think they're going to come out there and they're going to get after it.
Absolutely, man. I'm excited about this roster. I really am excited for just what's going to happen with like just the entire tournament. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It always is.
Oh yeah.
The viewerships always seem to go up when we have these kinds of tournaments. I mean, we watch, we watch the Four Nations with NHL, and
Oh
that was
yeah.
super exciting. And so, to see this to lead into the season, I mean, it's exciting. So what a great year it's going to be in sports. I'm excited for this one in the Major League Baseball season. We'll see. We'll see how it shapes up.
Oh yeah.
I think it's
Yeah.
going to be a
It'll
lot
be
of fun.
interesting.
The competition will be rising up. So can't wait for it. Brandon, appreciate you for coming on by, man. Appreciate
Thank you for having me, man.
Absolutely, man. Take care of yourself. Enjoy it, and we'll see what we get. World Baseball Classic,
Yeah.
Major League Baseball season. Anything can happen, so let's see what happens.
Definitely, man. Congrats on the new baby, brother.
Thank you. Appreciate it, man.
Have a good one.
You too. Yeah. This is what I keep saying, and I'm not making this up, is when you talk about salary cap and you talk about